Good evening and welcome to the Public Ways meeting of November 10th, 2025. Our first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for October 13th meeting. You've all had the opportunity to read those minutes, and I would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're now into the public participation, and seeing no public here, we will move on to the parks update.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Free park update. Happy to say that the project is moving along very well. The concrete work is now finished over there. The fencing is near completion. The water service line that's going to be feeding the new restroom, they bored that in last week, so it was kind of nice. They didn't have to open trench anything. They were able to just dig a pit up by Leatherman Road, do the tap, and ran that whole line in right to about 20 feet away from where the new restroom is going to be installed. They were planning on doing the sanitary sewer last week as well, but the manufacturer, there's a certain type of pipe that has to go under the road. It's got a locking bell and spigot on it. It didn't come in yet, so it actually came in at the end of last week, so mid to the later part of this week, they're going to get that forwarded and installed to where the building is going to be. The turf installation has begun out there as well. It's moving along nicely. They actually worked today, even though there was snow on the ground. They were out there and they were able to keep moving forward with that. It's about a 2 to 3 week time to get the turf installed and all wrapped up and finished up. And happy to report it's both on time and on budget, so looking good out there.
Very good.
So is the building in, when will the building come in for the restroom? Will that be in the spring, or is that?
We're looking mid-December.
Okay.
They're going to set that in. Everything's lined up for it. The plumber's in place. All the permits have been pulled. We're ready to go with the electric connection to it, and it's ready to go.
Any questions?
When that's done, how many parking spots will be there?
Well, I think next year we have in the budget to pave that parking lot. I'm not exactly sure what the count's going to be, depending on what the size of it is. If I had to roughly guess, I'd say around 60.
What was that? How much? 60 parking spaces. 60? Other questions?
Yeah, I did. What about the maintenance on the turf?
So
Have we purchased equipment to?
in the budget this coming year, we do have I think it's $8,000 budgeted for.
How much?
$8,000.
Is that for one of those like field sweeps where they go
Yep.
and they groom
Where it grooms,
get all the
and-
debris off?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that just gets towed behind like our gator or the vent track or whatever. So we have a piece of equipment to pull that.
Okay. Any other questions on Freed Park? Okay, let's move on to the Brickyard Improvement and Design.
Okay, I'll speak on that. As we discussed before, I think the Brickyard Park is we really have 3 identified phases. One being the remediation for the old Brickyard site, one being the passive park with the trails and the trailheads, and then the third being the athletic complex. So as it stands now, the remediation project and the passive park are both on the street. The bids were posted, and both of those bid openings are back-to-back on December 1st. So, point of clarification, somebody had asked, this particular phase of the passive park only has one of the trailheads on it, and that's the one that comes off of Chelly, off of Mount Eaton Estates. There's another trailhead planned in the future that comes off a wall that's not part of this package. It's a later phase. So those are going through well. A couple other details. We believe we're very close to getting an agreement with St. Ed's. We have the final alignment of the future street and essentially a development agreement with them to drafted in their hands that they're going to be taking to their board. So that's imminent. We believe, at least hope, that that's coming soon. So I think that kind of covers most of the main topics there.
One thing I'd like to note with the Wall Road trailhead entrance, although it's not going to be under construction quite yet, the contractor, we asked them to use that as a staging area during the construction of the passive trail. That way they're not running all the trucks and equipment in and out of the new neighborhood over there trying to mitigate any kind of traffic concerns or congestion with the residents in that neighborhood and keep dirt off the road. So they'll be using that wall roadside to get materials in and out there.
Questions?
No.
Let's move on to ball field maintenance.
Yes, Weatherstone 2 was laser graded and amended last week, and AC is laser graded, and the contractor we're using to do that has got the amendment out there, and he'll be putting that down hopefully later this week. So both of those fields will be dried up and ready to go come springtime. I can say that when he did Weatherstone 2, there was almost 3 inches of sand on top of that field. So it was like sand volleyball out there, not even really that great of an infield. Weatherstone 2. Also, that's helping out a lot with the drainage since we just did that Weatherstone 1 earlier this year. The water shedding off Weatherstone 2, because it sets up higher, getting that graded right and spreading out that sheet flow is making it get into that swale that goes in between both those fields instead of it funneling onto one point and potentially with the spring rains really soaking out that lower field Weatherstone 1 again. AC was kind of the same instance, especially out towards between second and third base. It was a swamp out there, and there was a lot of sand and silt out there. So he was able to redistribute that, cut that lip off that edge, and we'll get that amended. So it's going to be playing a lot better this coming spring.
No, they're just laser grading the infield, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Questions on the ball fields? All right, this has been here for quite some time, and hopefully we're making some progress. The E.J. Young Memorial.
Yeah, the E.J. Young Memorial, Director Hiscock has been in contact with the Akron Art Museum, like we talked about at the last meeting. Getting connected with the sculptor has not been the easiest things. He has been in contact with them in the past 30 days or so, and he's still awaiting a response back from somebody to give us some sort of vision on as to what it would look like. So I wish I could give you more than that, but waiting on a phone call, it's hard to get something back from them.
And that's already was in this year's
Correct.
budget.
Yeah, there's 100,000 in the budget. Yeah, this year, and it can roll.
That's why I want to make sure we either roll it or zero it out and start, make sure it's back in for next year. Because I think it's something very important that we, since the young family did donate that land, that I think it'd be wonderful to have something out there. So, questions?
Dedication plaques.
Dedication plaques, the signs, the sign base is almost done for the Blue Tip Park one. The one at the Pocket Park is already installed.
Okay.
We just need to install the one out of Blue Tip. One thing I'll add too out of Blue Tip Park, since we're on the subject, the street department poured more concrete out there. So from the large pavilion to the playground, they basically poured a large apron across there connecting the two, and then did a connecting sidewalk over to where the restroom is. So there was a lot of foot traffic in that area, and that's what we kind of wanted to see once we built the playground. We didn't want it to look too busy over there, and adding sidewalks where people weren't going to naturally go. So now seeing the kind of the foot traffic that goes through there, we were able to put in the sidewalks at the right spot. So
Great.
they did a really nice job out there. In that area is actually a swale between the playground itself and the pavilion. So they put a swale in that concrete, and it turned out really nice.
Good. Mr. Ray?
I just have one question. What do you do with an appropriated number from previous years that has not been spent?
So I guess it depends on whether or not that purchase was made. So I guess an example would be when we purchase a new snow and ice truck. Sometimes you get the cab and the chassis in, but when you send it to the builder, the package isn't ready to be installed yet, or the material isn't in for it to be installed. So finance will do what they call a soft close, and we'll roll that into the next year. So it'll be like this year going into next, it'd be a 20-25 year budget, soft close into 26.
So you don't have any leftover appropriations that kind of hang out there from previous years? You either roll them over or zero them out?
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah, and usually finance says, hey, we've got to have some kind of documentation in order for us to roll those over. So if it's a project that we budgeted money for that we don't think we're going to have any documentation, we'll just include that in the next year's budget request and zero out the estimate for this year. If it's something that, we've got some kind of a documentation, it will automatically roll over the budget dollars into next year.
So if it's something that was approved by, and this would be a perfect example, E.J. Young Memorial, that was approved, it was $100,000, approved by council, not spent, it'll be zeroed out from previous years and rolled into a brand-new budget this year.
Yeah, so it's not in the budget proposal now, but I am taking notes, so when we reconcile and go from the budget proposal to the budget that you're presented to vote on, that 100,000 will be in there if it's not encumbered this year. So I will make sure to add that to the budget that gets voted on.
Yeah, the only reason I ask, I think it was back at one point in time, I had asked the service director to zero out all the previous year's appropriations that were still hanging out there. And I can't forget, I forget the amount of money it was, but so you're saying that practice doesn't occur anymore?
No, so typically we do close out POs at this time of the year. I mean, finance sends out their instructions, we close them out, but specifically it's something for a project. If we know that that project's going to go forward, but we're not likely to have any documentation this year, it's included in the budget for next year. Things that, just as an example, IT may have hardware money that's been appropriated and it's encumbered but not likely to be spent. The difference between what's been spent and the remaining encumbrance would be liquidated this year as basically part of our close process.
So it'd be like Freed Park. I mean, Freed Park's not going to be done until next year, right?
It'll be done by the end of this
Oh,
month.
so it'll zero itself out.
Yeah.
But if, for instance, if Freed Park still had a couple $100,000 worth of work, it'd be zeroed out, and then 200,000 will be moved into the next year's budget.
Yeah, so if there was still work that was going to be done next year, but that amount had already been encumbered,
Right.
and we just hadn't spent it all, it will automatically roll as part of finance's soft close, which means they just roll those encumbrances forward. If it is something that isn't included in that encumbrance, we would then budget that separately for, say, the $200,000 more of work that hasn't been encumbered or documentation doesn't exist for that. We would budget that, just manually make sure it's in the budget.
Yeah, so the only reason I'm asking those questions, so once you say it's going to cost $1,950,000, it's not going to end up being $2,150,000 because you're only rolling, well, in this case, it'll be zeroed out. But
Right.
you would have to come back to council and say, hey, we've got another $200,000 to finish this part.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to come back for a supplemental.
okay.
Kind of like the same point with the E.J. Young. So I doubt it's going to happen this year just because we haven't been able to get a sculptor or an artist involved. But say we got under contract with an artist or a sculptor to build a memorial. Since we already have it in the budget this year and we signed a contract with them, got a PO, those dollars are encumbered. That would just be that soft close rolling into next year. And then if it came out to be $125,000, we'd have to come to you for a supplement.
All right. But the $100,000 will be in the 2026 budget to be approved by council.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what, okay.
Other questions?
I just have a comment for Glenn. This is kind of what I was talking about to you earlier about maybe having, I mentioned it to Glenn and to
Yeah.
Dan here, just in passing, having a sheet, or, several sheets or whatever, for each project, that this year we anticipate the total project will be approximately this much, and this is how we're going to fund it for this year. And these are the funding sources, grants, we're borrowing, however it may be. And then, the following year, this is what we anticipate if it's a multi-year project, and having all that readily available so we can see, from year to year, this is and I use the water tower project as an example. This is how much we anticipate the entire project costing. This is how much it will cost each year, and the phases and the steps that we're going to go through.
I think they agreed to do that.
Yeah, and he mentioned that they're planning.
Yeah, every multi-year project should have a separate book, as you could call it, or a separate sheet, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so we could,
That can be updated, and if there's supplementals, then we can just slide it right in with it. And I agree with Ms. Hines, it is challenging for us to remember everything from meeting to meeting, even though it's in the minutes, it's in the ordinances, and you as administration are working with it every day, so it's right at the forefront of your heads, and some of us have other jobs too, so
Sure.
it's hard to say 100% focused on it. It would make a nice, concise place for us to go to reference back to, you know, that, yes, we appropriated $2 million this year, now we're doing a supplemental. Where do we have to come up with that, or why do we have to do a supplemental? That's right, we talked about it, and we knew it was going to possibly go further, so.
And as I explained to Ms. Hines, there will be some art in that, and we'll have to experiment with some different things, because it can get too in the weeds, it can be too, and so we'll work on that. It's every desire we have to make things that are useful to you as you make your decisions.
thank you.
I think would be very helpful to everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's another difficult part of that too, is just even getting budget numbers together for that, because, you know, the market's so volatile with materials, and, you know, prices can,
Sure.
you know, swing. They're not going down, and they haven't been, and even leveling out to some degrees, it's been,
Sure.
it's been pretty chaotic. So, you know, we try to get the best numbers that we can in there, because we don't want the budget to look really inflated, but we still want to be in the ballpark of where we're at. I mean, you don't want to have a project that's $1 million and put $2 million in there and have to back it off. That'd be nice, you know, having $1 million savings, but, you know, we try to do our best getting the numbers.
You know, the engineer does the engineer's budget is the requirement under the statute, right? You have to do a budget and bring it to council. So if it's $1 million, it comes in at 8, that's great. You
Sure.
come back and say to the city council, hey, we're able to get it, but, you know, it's an estimate.
Sure.
But I
But
do
if it
think-
comes in at 8 and we budgeted 8 and it comes in at 1.5, really,
Well, yeah, that's the other side of it, but at least everybody on council will have that.
Quick reference.
quick
Yeah.
rep.
Okay. Any other questions on parks before we move forward? Let's move on to streets and sidewalks. The Wintergreen Sidewalk Project.
I'll start with this one. Yeah, obviously, the paving season is coming to an end, so with Wintergreen's wrapping up, it's scheduled to be done here just in about a week or so. So that's our paving work this season has gone very well. Everything's been under budget and I think pretty much for the most part on time. So that's one of the bits of feedback that I heard when I first took this role was get these things moving and get them done. And so we're really very proud that was done pretty much as requested this year. So really nothing much more to add for that.
While we're talking sidewalks, I think something would be good, because we do have a lot of areas in town, and if we keep on this plan of we're just working this section, this section, this section, it's never going to get caught up. We're always going to be working back. A sidewalk master plan would be nice to see, with a way to fund it and maybe get all the sidewalks done, so we're not always pounding sidewalks every year in different quadrants like we are, because there are some sections of town that, you know, if we're doing these quadrants or these sections, it might be bad and it's 5-6 years before we get to it, and it's really bad then. So if we could work on a citywide sidewalk master plan, I know that's a big undertaking, but I think it'd be a good idea to look at that.
It may help you to know, if you don't call, that there's right now a transportation plan, a thoroughfare plan being phase 1 and going on right now. We have a consultant on board who is focusing on roadway classifications, if that, you know, so what are the major streets, what are the minor streets, and what kind of street connection type things are, so that's going on right now.
Okay.
And then there's $75,000 in next year's budget to turn that into a capital improvement plan. So that stuff's coming, and so we'll definitely include that as part of that same effort.
Okay.
Well, I think, and I'm going to it's in your ward, Ms. Hines. In Wintergreen, there was like a bandage done. They took out a few sidewalks, and there were still plenty more since then. And I think it was, maybe, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Now, they've just gotten worse. You know, they were bad, now they're worse. There's no plan to really, I've never heard anything when they're gonna come back. I walk that every day, and it's not just me. I mean, there's plenty of people. We got strollers and everything else. I mean, it's really a hazard to our residents. And anywhere where there's the really large trees, whether it be the maples or oaks, and then even some of the smaller trees, they're doing a lot of damage to the sidewalks. And I like what Dan said, that I think we need more than just an area. We need a master plan to get in and tackle these, at least get us to where they are. I know there's other cities doing this right in this county, and they're looking to spend quite a bit of money and not a $75,000 fee, but try and get them to where we have walkable sidewalks.
Sure, and that's really much of the motivation for us moving forward on the capital improvement plan, because it really has been, it's been difficult to get a handle on a 5-year plan as to what kind of expenses. It's been kind of a year-to-year process so far, so we'll make those improvements.
I really think that 5-year needs to shrink to a 1 year, to where we catch up and have safe sidewalks for our residents to walk on. With their
We're talking
families.
about something kind of akin to the street program, where we get a program, we've ranked everything, we've prioritized them, and there's a plan for addressing all of them with, you know, maybe a set amount of money, so we know where we're at, and it flows logically, so we can get the most bang
Yes.
for our buck.
And try to, you know, maybe within, I can't see us replacing every sidewalk in town in a year.
Just the bad
but within a couple of years. I see 3 moms with strollers walking down Summit Street every morning in the street because the sidewalks are bumpy. I see people jogging in the streets because the sidewalks have trip hazards. And it doesn't matter what section of town you're in. So if we just concentrate in one corner this year and then we go to the next corner of town, we're never going to get caught up. And I think it's gone on long enough that we really need to concentrate and catch this all up if we can.
Okay, no, appreciate the feedback, that's very
Yeah.
helpful.
It gets back to your needs, wants, and wishes. The sidewalk should probably be a priority.
Yeah, I would say that sidewalks are a pretty high priority. You know, we have more people riding bicycles. They want bike trails. We can't put bike lanes in on the roads, but we can have decent sidewalks for them to ride their bikes on. Good places for people to jog and walk and not have dangerous situations with trip hazards or busted sidewalks. So that's kind of the thought there, like we have with the roads, but maybe make it a little more concise and a little quicker, which I know is a big financial undertaking.
It is, because I mean, it's
huge.
not just replacing the slab itself. A lot of times when street trees are affecting it, you know, you have
Right.
the cost of removing the tree, the stump, you know, getting the area, you know, landscaped again and bringing it all back up. I mean, it's a multi-layered project. You know, you kind of got to get to the source of things, and that's another part too. Is, you know, talking to residents, because a lot of people, they love their trees. You know,
Well.
and they have a nice, beautiful tree out there. And, you know, it's the cause of that sidewalk issue, and you're going to take it down. They really don't take too kindly to that. But, you know, in Shade Tree, we've been going through,
Right.
you know, a lot of steps to try to get that information out to the residents, and picking the correct species of trees to put in there, the proper spacing, and everything else that goes along with that. So I think we've made some very good strides in that respect. You know, we have a letter that goes out to the residents that informs them, hey, this is our plan, this is the process, these are what the expectations that we have are. That way, they know that, hey, we're not just going in there, clear cutting it, putting new sidewalks in, walking away. We're still bringing those trees back to the neighborhood, because, you know, that is part of the streetscape and the appeal and the allure of the neighborhood. So we just want people to be informed.
Yeah, we're ADA compliant at the crosswalks, but if were pushing someone, a handicapped child in a stroller, or even more than a child, it could be a handicapped adult that's in a stroller anymore, our sidewalks aren't passable for them.
Yeah, and a lot of areas like that, you know, they're absolutely more than welcome to reach out to us, to the street department. We have the service request forms online. Send us a request. We triage those right away and get out there, and we want to mitigate, you know, any kinds of trip hazards or things that make it difficult for the citizens to get around.
Speaking to Council Hines' idea of this kind of project summary, this would be a good one to kind of get to, I mean, it's an enormous issue. There's a lot of issues. And so just to get a feel for how big it is, what kind of costs we're talking about, we can get that into similar format probably that would be, to let you absorb that and get a plan going.
Thank you.
You know, I would make a recommendation that council pass a resolution just asking that the administration prioritize the sidewalks and over a 2 or 3 year plan, whatever. This way, you know, you're letting the administration know, because it sounds like this is an issue. You know, you'd like to have a resolution supporting a master plan with the sidewalks over for the city and developing a plan that replaces every bad sidewalk over the next 5 years, whatever year you want to put in there.
Okay.
Is that something we want to?
That would be a good idea to do that, so.
So I'd make a motion, we do that
Okay.
resolution.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will work on a resolution in that area.
You know, I might add, maybe for the next Ways meeting, we see the plan that's already in existence. Have a copy of that, it's what the engineering has. Let us see where you're at.
Sure.
Just,
It probably is a good idea, because I'm even thinking on Leeds Gate, there's some sidewalks that are totally out. They're not replaced, they're gravel. I mean, it'd be interesting to, you know, you look at the whole city and say, when are we going to get, so, you know, and it is a lot of work. So it's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It is, it's amazing. Like replacing a couple of sidewalk slabs, I'd rather pour a section of the street than do that. It's just labor intensive. You know, you tear out a street, you pour it back, you cone it off for 7 days, you open it back up. Sidewalks are replacing the sidewalk, getting rid of whatever caused that, whether it be a tree, sinkhole, utility issue, whatever, and then coming back and landscaping and seeding. It's a process, so.
But to your credit, you've cleaned up a lot of stuff since you've gotten here in the engineering department. This would be.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the Southwest Parking Lot Project update.
I can speak to that. That is also out on the street. The notice was posted. That bid opening is on the 20th of November, and we've now just gotten a few questions from bidders, so we're looking forward to seeing some good bids. We had a firm reach out that some of us are aware of, that we're very excited about seeing some good people, good reputations coming to Wadsworth. So that we'll know a little bit more on that price here very shortly, and hoping we can stay within budget on that one.
And the building has, the pavilion's been ordered, correct? And so that should be in soon, I take it, or, because that was a 60-day build or something, I think? And I know it,
I'll have
just
to
looking
check on
forward
that
to
to give you-
see, you know, once that project starts, that building should go up pretty quick, I would think.
Yes, and the contractor doing that job is going to be constructing that, so. Yeah.
Any questions on the Southwest parking lot? Okay. Let's hear about the City Hall parking lot.
Okay, that project was just posted onto our website. The notice was put out last week. The posting is it's due tomorrow. It was uploaded today, so that is also on the street now. And that bid opening date is November 3rd.
December 3rd.
Excuse me, so December 3rd, I misspoke. December 3rd, and that was one that has a couple additions. When the original budget was, we're not sure how the bids will come in, so just to make sure we can award the contract, we've done a couple alternates, fencing and gates and things like that we might be able to delay till next year if we need to get the contract let for this bid process. So hopeful that will be coming in here first next year, or next month.
Any questions on the City Hall parking lot?
No.
Let's move on to the State Route 94 East Reimer Road intersection improvement project.
Discuss that. So just had a meeting today with ODOT and our consultant. The consultant last week provided us with some very tentative proposal ideas for some layouts. And what's coming to be a very key issue that we'll be investigating here shortly is where the Gunderson access goes. The Gunderson property is the large piece that's on the west side. And if they access into the roundabout, that makes the roundabout a little less effective, but it's a benefit to them. Or if they access otherwise, it may change the roundabout. So we need to reach out to figure out what their interests are, what kind of options we have, and we have not approached them quite yet. But that'll be a key factor, probably the most key factor now in the design, is do we add what they're calling a fifth leg to include that property as part of the roundabout, because that will give them full access to the property, which will be a great benefit to them. And are they willing to contribute any money toward the project to make that happen is another part of the conversation. Or are they going to be taking access from other parts of the property? So that's the next step to figuring out what the best alignment will be.
And that is for if they were to develop future back in, correct? I mean,
Yes.
And I'm assuming it would be much easier to design that now than it would be to redesign that at a later point.
Yeah, and just to clarify that the idea, commercial developments want what you call a full movement. Full movement meaning if you're coming northbound, southbound, everyone can get in. And so the most traffic professionals would say that their best scenario is a full movement coming from the roundabout. That's the best way to get traffic in and out of that project, most likely. Otherwise, they would be looking at, on their south property, maybe a right in, right out, opposite Walmart's access, things like that would not be quite as beneficial. So,
Okay.
but it just, I just got the data this on Friday, just had the meeting today, and we're just going to be reaching out to them to see what their thoughts are.
Okay.
Will that data show that that intersection needs what it needs? Is that what the total data is like, does it need a roundabout? Does it need, I thought we had asked for a report on that.
That's one, I just received a tentative report on Friday. It does have non-roundabout options.
Okay, so it has all options.
Yes, and but it's not complete yet because of the Gunderson issue, because that Gunderson access issue affects both options. Okay. Because if they need access at that intersection will function much differently with an access to Gunderson versus not. So the same issue applies to both.
Other questions?
No. When do you think you're going to have that finalized and be able to report to City Council?
Mr. Morris has reached out, I believe, I don't know if he's reached them, but there is a real estate sign, so he's going to reach out to the realtor here shortly, I believe, to start that conversation here very quickly. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to say that we don't have much time for them to that we need to get their input pretty quickly. So I would expect we would want to get something back to you probably by next month, I would think.
Okay. I was going to say before the end of the year, it sounds like.
All right. Main Estate Street parking lot.
Yes, other than what we spoke about at the last meeting, we got the area cleaned up and did a little bit of maintenance. Moving towards the spring, we might do a little bit of wedge paving in there, because all in all, the parking lot's in pretty decent shape. So in parts where we got a little bit of cracking, we might do some mill and fill operations there, nothing too drastic. And then potentially see if we can get it sealed possibly and restriped to get the area back looking better. Maybe do a little bit of concrete replacement around the perimeter of it to dress it up and get those 88 ramps in better shape.
Yeah, because I know that it's been, I'm sure, several years since it's been striped.
Yeah.
It's really hard to even see any bit of paint in there.
Right,
so.
right. And that's why it might be, once we get in there and do some little bit of mill and fill in there to seal it, so it basically looks all black again, brand new, and then stripe afterwards.
Okay. So. Great, thank you. Questions on that? No. Okay. Let's move on to the airport. The FAA grants assistance.
So this primarily relates to our airport consultant that we've brought on board. We've had a couple meetings with him already, and trying to get some brainstorming about what's out there, what options are there. The tank farm has come up as part of the potential funding opportunities. We've discussed with them some of the feedback from the Airport Commission about some of the taxiway and where some of the fueling is congested. Talked about potentially, he even had some suggestions about the AWAS and location of that, and maybe giving some feedback to our consultant on that one. And then looking at doing this, what they call the pen and ink adjustments to the master plan. So all those conversations all really relate to the same idea of there's just a procedure of getting to the finish line that are quite time consuming and become somewhat laborious. And having someone to coach us through that has been very helpful so far. So he'll be, I think, ready at the next Airport Commission meeting to start doing a little more brainstorming to figure out, okay, what's next? What do we want to add? What's the priorities? And start getting farther along in that process. So we're making good progress.
The tank farm had a time crunch for dollars. So when can you report to us that that's been taken care of? I mean, that was December.
That was, I know it was, I knew that did come up.
And I mean, it's within weeks.
And
we have to have something applied for or something. So we need that right away, so that we can't let that slide, because that's a lot of dollars for something that it's very, very needed for the airport.
No, thank you for the reminder. That my understanding, yes, that was discussed. We know the deadline, and we are moving forward to hit that deadline.
Is there any way that he could come to the committee of the whole meeting and just let council hear some ideas about the airport as well? I mean, I sat with him at the commission. I sat next to him for 10 minutes. The 10 minutes I sat there was very enlightening. I think it would be good for all members of city council to hear, some of the comments he makes about what can be done. So I don't know if that's...
Mr. Renacci, I can put that on the agenda for our next council meeting, Committee of the Whole. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and the only other question, I don't know if he could do it, there used to be economic impact studies done on the airports by the state, which would show what one of the reasons why Governor Rhodes put airports in every county is because of the economic development to that county. So every county in the state has an airport. And then they used to do economic studies that would show what is the impact to Wadsworth to have that airport. And the state used to do those. I don't know when the last time the state did one, but is there any way we can find out and get that to city council?
We can certainly investigate that.
And then if not, it'd be interesting, and because I do think a lot of people question the value of the airport. I think if we can't get that, and I know they used to do them every couple of years, it would be great to get a study, an economic impact study on what the airport value is to the city of Wadsworth. I think people would be shocked once that study came in. So now the state used to do it, but if we can't get one, it would be great to see if we wouldn't be willing to pay for one, because I do think everybody in city council needs to really be brought up to speed on how valuable that airport can be and should be to the city of Wadsworth.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that and get back to you on that.
All right, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Mr. Renacci, was that something like ODOT Aviation?
Yeah, it's in ODOT Aviation. And I thought, to be honest with you, I was searching, and I thought one was supposed to be done this year on every airport, including Wadsworth. I just wasn't able to find it.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out where a good place to...
That's where it is. It's ODOT Aviation. You can call down there. It was supposed to have been released. You might get more information than me. It was supposed to have been released in April or August of this year, so it might already be released.
Okay.
But it's just not Wadsworth. It's they value they do a economic impact on every one of the airports and what its value is to the community.
Okay. Any other questions on the FAA grant assistance? Let's move on to the airport apron project update.
Okay, there really hasn't been a lot to discuss on that. That project has not kicked off yet. At least it's It's not going to get a lot of work done this winter, some. The completion date, I believe, is scheduled for, if I have it right here, toward the end of July of 2026. So we have the bids approved, FAA's approved them, grant awards have been done, so all the steps are just ready to start construction, weather permitting.
Okay. Any questions on that?
And that was part of the resolution too. Didn't we have a date in there?
Yes.
I
I
believe
thought we
so.
had a date on most of those things, so, okay.
Hey, Jim, we met with the airport consultant at the end of October, and he mentioned that the state is doing a free economic impact study in 2026.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we could pull up the last one that they did,
Okay.
take a look at that.
Yeah, there was one a few years ago then. We should pull that one up for city council to take a look at.
Let's move on to the Happy project.
Okay, Pappy has the same kind of trajectory as the apron project, that's under the same grant cycle, same status, in that the completion date that is pushed out a little farther. They have, I believe it's 14 months from the date of the contract, so they'll be pushed out a little bit later into 2026, but very similar. We'll see both those projects completed next year.
And you'll inform us if the resolution, we can't meet those dates, you'll keep us informed and the reasons why we can't meet the dates that were in the resolutions.
Sure.
Yeah, appreciate it, thank you.
And I would gather the AWAS is under the same cycle
It
or
is
very similar?
It's behind. It's in the design cycle now. My understanding is it needs to, the next target date is around April. I'm not an expert on all the dates here, but our consultant's helping us with this, so that meeting that grant cycle gets that design moved forward so that we can start, I believe in 2026 will be a design phase, and then in 2027, I believe, is when we start construction. So it's basically a year behind.
Any questions on AWAS?
No, but I do have one other question. Do we have the machine, and I don't know if maybe it's in the budget, but I just wanted to make sure, is there machinery going to be in place at the airport to clear the runway and get it thrown over the lights so that we don't have any? I worry about that because if we have when a plane has a problem and it has to land, and Wadsworth, the airport, has got to land, the last thing you don't want is snow piled up and lights you can't see, because my fear would be if the plane does come down and there is a crash and there is a death, and it's because we have not maintained the runway, that's going to be a problem for Wadsworth. So is that all?
We'll get to that in the budget portion.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Anything else on the airport?
No. I might comment on that last question you had, Mr. Renacci. The last time they had a really major storm, they brought in from the National Guard a helicopter with the blades that actually moved the snow away from the lights, but you can't count on that.
That's truly not an answer that the city should.
No, not at all.
We should have
Creative,
the
though.
equipment.
It's a training,
One of those
training
National
exercise.
Guards, one of those National Guard Chinooks scared the life out of me one time. I was mowing down there, and I'm just, cruising along, and all of a sudden there's a Chinook right over my head, like 50 feet off the ground. So yeah, they like landing there.
All right, let's move on to the budget review.
Well, I failed to take off A, B, and C on the agenda because we already covered those in our first 32-hour budget meeting we had previous to this one. So we could jump right to the 425 capital budget. So if you turn to page 194 in your budget books, we'll start with the airport one, the 422. It's at the bottom of the page. And Mr. Renacci, the first item we'll address there is the dual auger snow blower that we have budgeted for $230,000 for the airport. That particular piece of equipment comes from Canada. It is a very large snow blower, large enough that we could keep the county busy by blowing the snow from the runway to State Route 57. So it'll move the snow off the runway. So that's what that line item's for.
Will that be here for this winter? Will that be here for, if the snow comes in January, will that be here?
I'm not 100% sure that it would be. I can talk to the vendor and see if they actually have one in stock, if it is.
What are we doing now? What are we doing with this?
So now we just took delivery of a brand new payloader with a large push box on it, and it also has a bucket on it. So they could use that in conjunction with the plow truck that they have down there now.
Until this blower comes in.
Exactly. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to set up a meeting with the airport operators on some snow and ice best practices for airports. I'm pretty well versed in those areas. I also know Frank Williams, who's the director of Cleveland Hopkins Airport, so I'm going to reach out to him and see if he can get me some of his training staff down here as well to talk to them on how to deal with snow and ice events. You know, just like anything else, I think on the streets, we don't want 6 inches of snow piling up on the street before we get out there and push it, because I don't want to say it's the same as a runway, but you don't really have room to push snow on the street if you just keep letting it pile up. You got to keep dispersing it. So, you know, there's best management practices that can be followed doing that, and totally appreciate and understand the concern with covering up those runway lights or having piles at either end of the runway for planes that need to come in and land. So that's why we have this item in the budget, and they'll be set up nice to get that issue taken care of.
And just to clarify, that's in 422, the airport improvement fund.
Correct.
So I'll just continue going on. So on page 194 is where he's talking, if you were not clear. So just moving down the list, the airport consultants you see there are separately budgeted this next year. And kind of speaking to Mr. Renacci's question earlier, we do have the consultant under contract for this year, and then we essentially terminate that contract at some point and start another one for the next year for many of these consultants, just to keep the books clean. So that's new money. There is some holdover from this year, but that's we give them projects to, let's finish those projects, close out 2025. Sorry. And then start 2026. So that's that number there.
And that 50,000 does get reimbursed by the FAA. Some of that consulting,
It can.
I mean, he'll know it. That's a good thing
Yeah.
about.
He's coaching us as to how we can or
Right.
can't.
Because I think if done right, 95% of everything we spend down there is going to be paid for by the FAA.
Yeah, it is, there's limitations, but yeah, so we're learning that, the nuances of that. It's nice to have expertise for someone who can coach us on it.
Mr. Davis, what's the name of the firm, the consultant? I have it written down
I believe it's
somewhere.
RS&H.
RS&H?
RS&H, yeah.
Okay.
How long have we gone without that consultant? Because I know he was there 15 years ago. I mean, when did we, so have we gone years without a consultant helping us?
I would have to ask,
Or you haven't been?
so I will tell you for context, I asked, when I was here just new in this role, I asked Jim in our office, who's been doing a lot of the airport, why don't we have this? And he says, I've been trying to get it for several years, but his leadership didn't approve it. So I don't want to, I'm not trying to demean anybody, but this has been a discussion point for a long time. I don't know, he doesn't know, I don't know why it didn't get
Because when he
approved.
sat next to me, he said that, my last year was 2007. He said that after a couple of years, he was let go. I think it was a couple of years. So that would mean that we've been almost 15 years without a consultant, unless
Yeah.
we had somebody else. That's in the results.
So I don't know anything about those decisions. I just know that it had been discussed and for whatever reason was not brought through in the budget.
I just think he's going to be a great asset.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
good-
yeah.
It's good to have somebody.
Mr. Davis, could you get him to come and address council, one of our committee of the whole meetings? Can you look into that?
Yeah, I think, were you going to
Yeah,
add
we
to
just
the-
discussed that. You're
That's
going
the
to add that to the
same-
agenda.
You just mentioned adding to the agenda.
Oh, did I miss it? I have a hard time hearing.
18.
No, I reached over and you said it was on, I asked if he could address, and you said it was on the committee of the whole. for the next meeting.
Well, we'll put it on there, but can we have the consultant come?
Yes.
That's what you're
Is
talking
that what
about.
it is? Okay. Sorry, I can't hardly hear over here.
bad area.
My apologies.
At least two. Speaking to that 50,000, if it is covered 95% by a grant, at least we have a placeholder there if it's a reimbursement grant.
Right.
That way, we're covered in that.
Okay, so then continuing down here, we see, so the next year is the design year for AWAS, so you see that number there, obviously, that's, and that is just getting underway. And there's continue down here, there's just some miscellaneous, just in case money there for 10,000. And then, so as we discussed about how we budget, so now, because the contracts were let in 2025, we now budget contingency in 2026, so that, to make the money clear as to where it's coming from. So the 2025 money has been appropriated, so if there's any changes that may need additional monies, we put a little bit of contingency in there, so that if we go in 2026, we don't have to come back for every penny we budget some. So that's just speaks to how we try to put the separate money each year to keep it clean.
Make it a little bit further, I would like you to put how much was city money and how much money came from ODOT and from FAA. Because that's the thing. People look at it and say, we spent 2.4 million on the airport, when really we spent only 5% or 7% of that. Sure. And so that needs to be real clear to council members, because you're going to have a lot of new council members, as well as the public itself.
That seems like exactly what we talked before,
Yes,
the kind
same
of project summary, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, following up with that, I mean, you take some of the stuff that you have on here, it'd be interesting to know how much even that we're going to vote on in 2026 is paid for by the FAA.
Yeah.
So even this year, I think in the future it'd be good for every council member to know, hey, we're spending 400,000, but 95% of it's being paid, versus we're just spending 400,000. And the only other thing then for 2026, the fuel farm, if you're able to get that. Because I know that it's supposed to be, the application's supposed to be in by this year, approved by next year. Is that something you would propose later on for 2026? Let's assume you get, because my understanding is if you get it in by December, you get the money next year.
As it stands now, I believe it would have to be supplemental, because I don't believe it's in the 2026 budget. I don't know that it's approved. I don't know if it's a guarantee to approve or not. So I'm guessing we could choose, and I don't want to speak for everybody here, I guess we could choose to budget that, presuming it's coming. That would be a choice we could make.
I was just wondering how it'd be done. I mean, it probably should be something, look, it's something that needs to be done, but you're right, you got to wait for the money. And the money, if you miss from what I understand, if you miss the deadline in December, there is another deadline that passes in the spring of next year. He told me that when he was sitting next to me. So whatever we should, because it's paying for 90%, I think, of the fuel farm, we should make sure we get that accomplished. But
yeah, I don't believe there's any reason why we shouldn't make that deadline. As far as I know, that's still the intent.
And then when you redo the budget book, can you include that in the proposed part, so we know that it's included? Even if we're making a deadline, it's a possibility.
We could. I mean,
that would be an expense that we'd have to improve next year, and we want to know that that's available.
And we would have to know exactly what that expense is, to kind of ballpark it. Obviously, it's council's appetite. We have a resolution on moving things at the airport, so I think approaching you for a supplemental next year isn't going to be
that's
an
right.
issue instead of plugging the number.
We do have that in the resolution.
Okay. So that's it for the 422.
So if somebody a year from now or 2 years from now sitting on council and had this budget book, how do they know, how would they, see this is the problem, because again, I'm trying to think for somebody who doesn't have a lot of time. How are they ever going to know that we're spending, as Mr. Parrish said, we're spending $1 million, but we're getting 950,000. I mean, is there a way of having a contra account or something?
Yeah, so if you look at the budget book, let's say page 61, which is airport improvements, you'll see that it lists revenues by category. And just looking at 2026, the transfers in, that's basically general fund monies. You get federal grants of $243,000. You get a little bit of income tax dollars in state grants, and then the small amount for the internal note. But if you look at the 2025 estimate, the federal grants capital, which is the second line item, that's the bulk of the total revenues that are covering expenses. So you could look at this to see, in general, the percentage of, for example, federal grants or state grants.
But is this a year behind? See, what I'm trying to get at so you spend the money and then you get the grant money. Is the grant money a year behind or is it in advance? How do you put it in the book?
Yeah, so the grant money, for example, the 2025 estimate, the 1.9 million is based on the assumption that money comes in this year, in 2025.
But was that for things that were spent in 2024? Could it be?
Well, it would be for capital outlay items in 2025.
Okay.
But they were approved in 2044, because April of 2024 would have been the date for it. You tried to get, you applied for the money and they accepted. I mean, what I understand, it's April the year before, because you said 14 months, and that's what the cycle is.
I mean, as we work on these project summary sheets, I'm
Yes.
hoping that makes this more clear.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what it
what I
seems
was
like.
trying, that's what I was getting at, so you're not leafing through past budget books trying to figure out.
From page 61 to page 194.
This one is so important. I mean, I hate to keep harping on it because the airport people think we're spending money, but if especially the new members of council, they need to know that the FAA is reimbursing the largest chunk of that. And
Sure.
and then if they get a chance to see the economic impact, I think many people have a little bit of a different approach when it comes to thinking about the airport.
Any more questions on the 422 airport?
If we could real quick go back to page 194, I want to jump to the 255 real quick. The Recreation Tax Fund, it's about the middle of the page there. A couple items, blue tip playground fencing. We have 75,000 in for that. Again, it was much like the sidewalk we discussed earlier about connecting things together. We wanted to see the habits of the community, how they moved around that playground. We didn't want to pen them all in and then have the fencing in the wrong spot or openings in the wrong spot. So we wanted to give it a year, see how people used it, and that's why we have it in for next year's budget. The second item is the free court.
Wait a minute, so you're going to spend $75,000 more on that part?
Correct.
It'd be interesting to see at some point in time for council what the total is on that, because I've heard so many different numbers, but. So is that a safety fence?
We've had a lot of requests from the community of, moms watching their kids and they're running out in 30 different directions. So they kind of wanted along the wood line and possibly around the zip line feature of kind of keeping the area tighter just to make it easier for moms and dads to watch their little ones running around.
Safety feature.
Because we have a total for what the total is for that park to this date at our next meeting?
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah, and then what this, I mean, so I'm just going to ask the question again, is the 75,000 a needed safety feature? I mean, I took my grandkids there, you got to watch them, but I'm not sure, I mean, is that
I guess it's in the eye of the beholder. I mean,
yeah.
What type of fencing is it?
it'd probably be like a black aluminum fencing, 4 feet tall. Okay, pretty much what's out there now by the splash pad, that same style.
This is why I kind of was asking about that. So we would have everything in total laid out for us in the future and for the taxpayers and the residents. So everybody would know, especially like I mentioned, multi-year projects. We need this much money for this. This is the funding source. These are the grants that we have. I know I sound like a broken record, but I think it would be important.
I think it just simplifies it for everybody on council, but also gives us talking points, and it's much easier to explain it to residents. We look at this budget book, we kind of understand it better than most. If you just handed this to the average person, they're going to go, I don't know what this says. But that kind of document would be incredibly helpful for everybody. And it just leads to more transparency from you to us to the citizens, and I think that's what everybody wants to have.
I'm going to go back to the 75. Is it a need, a want, or a wish?
Again,
I'm
in the
trying to
eye of the
figure out
beholder.
how this even happens. I mean, does a couple of parents come to you and say, hey, we'd like to have this done? Or is it, I mean, 75,000 is a lot of money.
Was it in the original plan?
It was in the original plan, and for budgetary reasons, we took it out. So,
Is that the reason it's back in, because it was taken out and we want to complete the plan? Is that the main reason it's in there?
yeah, and getting feedback from the communities.
Hey, Dan, just wanted to let you guys know, too, that the way I set this up on the PDF version, if you just hit Control F and type in Freed, it'll allow you just to click Next and go through all of the places in the budget that Freed Park is mentioned. And
Okay.
most of them will be in the capital plan, but it'll tell you the year, the amount, and what the item is. So it's a quick way to find stuff.
Thank you.
Chairman, I would just say that the 75,000 should come back to discussion before we just
Yes.
walk away and approve it. It'd be nice to see, is it a need, is it a want, or a wish? And I don't want to have
Take it to the.
I don't want to have 10 women come knocking on my door saying, hey, why are you taking that out of there? If it's a need, we should do it. If it's a want, and if it's a wish, but I mean,
Sure.
I've taken my grandkids down there, and yeah, it's a little, no matter what park you take grandkids to or children to, they're running all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
do we really need the fence or not? I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
Sure. The second item there is the Freed basketball court replacement. That was initially part of the plan this year with Freed Park, but we had to remove that because of costs associated with that. So that's what that $55,000 is in there.
So that's above and beyond the $1,950,000 that's already been budgeted.
Correct.
So it's another, see, and again, I'm
Right.
getting back to where they're at. I mean, this is why when I ask the question, hey, what did you approve for the park? They'll say, well, when you keep adding these things to it,
It's hard to track.
it's hard to track. And then you come back and say, well, city council approved it. Well, it'd be nice to say, here's what the budget was. Because when I hear Freed Park, I think $1,950,000, which I think is a big number already. And now you're talking about adding $55,000. If you don't add that $55,000, what happens? Is there a spot there with nothing?
Yeah, that's basically a spot. That is one item that we've heard a lot from the community is a need and a want for basketball courts. So that's why we wanted it. There was one out there before, but because of the layout of the park, it had to be removed for the field to set in there. So that's why we have it in again. But we have gotten a lot of feedback from the community wanting a basketball court.
Wanting it replaced.
Yes.
Is this a full court? Is this just replacing what was there?
I think
Because I did hear from a resident up there that said to me, why are we putting a basketball court up there? Why are we replacing that basketball court? I'm not there, so I can't tell. And
I can tell you it's heavily used. My kids play t-ball and soccer out there, and they're
on the basketball court?
no, not on the basketball court.
No,
but
I'm talking about the basketball.
Yeah, there's pickup games on that court all the time.
How many basketball courts do we have?
We got a whole bunch of them.
There's one at Mole,
There's one at Mole.
there's one at Valley View,
There's one at Valley View.
Two at Valley View.
two at Valley View.
Wintergreen?
Wintergreen, there's one.
Durling.
Durling's one.
Some of those are halves and some are fulls, correct?
That's a half court at Durling, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe this one was a half court.
But you got a tremendous amount of basketball courts up at the Y, so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I'm confused to where it would fit in, because I drive by that every day now, and I'm looking, you've taken all that area, and then next to it, you have the batteries for the electrical system. Where would that fit in?
I think it's going to be to the left side of the pavilion. So if you're facing the pavilion on the left, where the mound is,
Yes.
head over in that area.
Okay.
Chairman, I would just ask on this one that if we're going to approve this, that it be, make sure that everybody on city council knows that it's an addition to the
Yes.
$1,950,000. And that it be, when we do the budget approval, everybody's made aware of that.
Right, and we have, in previous Ways meetings, when we were discussing the construction of this part, we did say we had to pull out the parking lot and the basketball court aspect of it, just because of how it came in.
So originally it was more than $1,950,000, and you've,
No, it wasn't. That's what we budgeted, and we came in over budget with
so then you
everything
pulled this
there.
stuff
So we
out.
were pulling stuff out. Correct.
Okay.
All right, if we switch to page 195 and the 425, actually we could go down to 196. At the top, 2012 dump truck. This is a replacement dump for the Parks Department. The one that they have, it's rough. It's holes in the floorboard. It's in bad shape. That's a replacement cost for that vehicle is $160,000. That's both the truck and the upfitting of that truck and being prepped for a snow and ice package. Next one I can hit on is the street department generator for the fuel pumps. I think that one's an early 60s model, so it is in dire need of replacement. I think I don't know if you remember when we were on our department tours, I think we pointed that out.
Yes.
We were in there. Next item is a forklift that replaces a 1997 forklift. This is actually getting split between streets, storm sewer, water distribution, wastewater collection. So that's $10,000 there.
So the total would be
40.
40? Yes, okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
40,000, yep. The next item, snow and ice insert, that's replacement for the street department. That is going in, it was already the truck, the cabin chassis is already ordered. I'm getting out of. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a snow and ice insert. It's a leaf machine for
We talked about
$115,000.
that last year or this summer, I forget, we've talked about replacing the leaf machine in the past.
Correct. And we have two new leaf machines now. This is one that's replacing
Okay.
a 2010. Now, it is a 2010 machine itself, but the actual power plant that runs that machine, the motor itself, is like a 1985. So we've just been swapping
Okay.
those power plants to machines previously, and they're whooped. I mean, those things are running full out for 3 months out of the year, and they're whipped. They've been taking a beating. So that's what that is. Glenn, I think you could take.
Sure. Really, the rest of the here for the capital is the downtown improvement project, which you're all, I'm sure, aware of. There is a variety of costs, design costs this year. Next year will be some construction cost and then some inspection cost for construction management and all that. So, and those numbers are all contingent upon all those discussions that you're all very aware of as to where those improvements end up.
those numbers there are, I'm assuming this is assuming A, right?
There's a number of funds, so this is assuming,
Yes.
Yeah, there's project A, B, and C. This definitely gets you to A, right?
I don't think it's the total project.
The total's like 17,185 is I think what we budgeted total.
Wasn't that for C?
see,
C is 17, but 11 million was A.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
saying in the
Yeah.
budget we have
you're right, see.
17,185.
And because there are other funds that are paying for downtown improvement other than Fund 425, so that's
So
not
where
all
are
the
they
money.
at? Because there's 10 and 1, so there's 11, 3. You say there's 17 in here?
Yeah, so there's Well, basically, the external bond issuance is like 16.8 on the revenue side. There's a small, at the back, it says consolidated projects. There's just a small piece in there for that, but let me look at the,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Probably do need to move this because we have a whole bunch of people at 7
Yeah.
o'clock.
We need to have another meeting at some other point with a meeting up against us. Or
Okay,
do
we
want-
can
do we
discuss
wanna
that
work
this at our
through
next
this?
budget
I mean,
meeting on the 24th.
yeah, we have another budget meeting scheduled on the 24th.
I'm just trying to be mindful of the other meeting.
Okay,
And
sure.
the noise level's getting pretty high out there. It's a little hard.
Right.
So,
When we do have the budget meeting, can we make sure we know, this gets back to what the other council members asked for, even when it comes to downtown, what you have totally budgeted in this thing and where it's all at?
Sure.
Making sure we have enough meeting time for this meeting, please.
anything else that we need to discuss at this point? Anything from administration? Anything from the committee or other council members?
I got something.
Mr. Williams?
It's been brought to my attention by several people that we have a lot of expensive equipment, a lot of heavy-duty trucks that require a CDL driver's license. And it's been brought to my attention, we don't do a CDL pre-trip at the start of the day, where we have a record of it. You know, if there would be an accident or something, it is big liability.
Like a
you
pre-trip
check into that?
inspection.
Yeah.
Pre-trip inspection.
I'd like to know where the information's coming from, because each one of our trucks has a binder in it with pre-trip.
I'm just telling you, that's what I heard. We can
Okay,
check it
yeah,
out.
I
like
can
this
tell you
actually.
that's not true.
I'm not
Each-
accusing anybody, but it got back to me.
Yeah, that isn't true. There is a pre-ring binder in every single commercial.
I would
vehicle
hope
we
so.
have. Yep, absolutely. That is part of the standard operating
Yes, it
procedures
is. If
of
you
all
have a
the...
license, that's what you need to do. But a lot of the maintenance would get caught, you know, by
Oh,
doing
we do, yeah.
pre-trip.
They catch a lot of things with that.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, our next meeting will be December 8th at 6 o'clock here in council chambers. And with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn. And everybody in favor, say
Yes.
aye.
Aye.
All right.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.